Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today I will give you an in-depth guide on everything I've learned since the start, all the way to Master Rank 26 and 600 hours. I want to say a massive thank you for all of you that have subscribed and left a like. This sudden increase in support has really motivated me to drop content like this, helping people out. And for those who haven't yet, if you like this type of content, you can always subscribe or just leave a like. It will help motivate me for further guides and improve the quality. Without further ado, let's start. As a disclaimer, I won't mention a tier list because in my opinion, tier lists make players tunnel vision on efficiency instead of enjoying the game. Every single descendant will clear any type of content, while some can do it faster than others. People often look for tier lists to reassure their favorite descendant is good or not, when the game is made for you to use whatever you want and just have fun. But even though I won't mention any tier lists, Bunny is the best mob clearing descendant with no contest, and Glay is the most efficient at killing bosses. These two are the most efficient in their category, and their kit is made future-proof. Lepik is also great at bossing, but he has a very fixed ceiling. Whereas seen in Gluttony, a high skill crit resistant boss will make him to be less dependable, as for example Glay is always efficient. The video will be divided for accessibility. You can always follow the timestamp to each part of the video you desire to inform yourself with. I understand that it is a long guide and therefore you don't need to watch something you already know. Instead, just use the timestamps to go directly to whatever you want to inform yourself about. This guide will include what to do after finishing the main story quest, how to find and navigate through the UI, how to farm specific materials the fastest way. I will also show a few mechanics, XP, gold and Kuiper farms, how to build, and a guide for each Colossus boss. Okay, so starting off, after you end the main story quest is when the whole game opens up for you. From here on, you have the freedom to either grind for your descendant or grind for a weapon that you like and make it stronger. Right after the main story ends, it is best to do two things every day to save you from a big headache. If you have blueprints for catalysts and energy activators, make sure they are crafting as close to 24/7 as possible. Catalysts take around 20 minutes to farm for an 8-hour craft, and energy activators can take up to an hour for a 30-hour craft. After these are crafting, then you can explore on what to do. Once you're all set up, I recommend farming for Sharon and Enzo. Enzo will help you open vaults, which gives you an immense amount of Kuiper, as well as a lot of materials you will need to craft other descendants or weapons. When it comes to Sharon, she's the only descendant that lets you do infiltrations, which have a chance to drop specific amorphous patterns for whatever you've got your eyes on. Now I will help you with how to navigate through the UI and find where to drop your patterns. There is a little secret that will help you tremendously on how to farm specific parts the fastest way. Quick mention though, there are multiple stations in Albion that facilitate access to dungeons and special operations, which can be found on the left side after exiting Albion's main outpost. So starting off, navigating the UI is simple. You have the whole tabs, which include the shop and inventory when you press I, and a few other tabs when you press M, which include the map and access info. Starting off with the inventory set of tabs. You've got all of your stuff like in any other game. You got your gear, your level, your mastery rank, but you also got this tab which is called weapon list. This tab will help you find which weapon you haven't got yet, what build you have on those weapons, as well as a little summary of the skill of the weapon. For more info on the skill of the weapon, you head yourself to the research NPC Anais in Albion. Then after selecting the weapon, you click detail on the bottom right corner, then switch tab to unique ability for the full information about its unique ability. Moving on to consumable, you have your items. Here you can search for specific items, or when you go to amorphous material and type the blueprint you're looking for, it will show all the amorphous patterns that drop in. With this, once you hover the patterns, you can press L to know where you can open send pattern, if it is either on a void fusion reactor or in a Colossus boss. Then afterwards, you've got your generic stuff like the battle pass, the shop, and the customized tab. Moving on to the set of tabs you have when you press M. You have your generic stuff such as the map, socials, quest, and journal. The journal is where you can collect the rewards for achievements. The most important tabs to discuss here is the map and access info. Here you will find where everything drops in the game, apart from a few modules which can only be obtained by combining modules. With the map, while in hard mode, you have the option to check the difficulty rewards. In this section is where you will find the current weekly reactor rotation and where to find the ones you're looking for if available. Here you can select which attribute you're looking for, the bullet type for the weapon you want your reactor to be attached to, and afterwards it will show you what areas are currently dropping them. Now for the access info tab. Without investing too much of the guide time into it, you can explore it to your heart's content, but I will let you know the few things you will need to save you a big headache. When looking at amorphous material, the same way you search through in your consumables, if you type the blueprint you're looking for, it will show you which patterns it drops from. When clicking L, you can see where you're gonna open those, being in void shard reactors or Colossus bosses. Once you've found what to do next and have tracked the items you're looking for, the grind starts. To help you with the grind, once you're inside the map, you can click U to change from your quests to the tracked items, so it's easier to see how your progression is going. Now for the best place to farm materials. For void shards, I will link a spreadsheet of where specific void shards drop from. For specific materials for your blueprints, it is too deep to dive into the ones dropped from dungeons, but you always have 2 dungeons that drop said material, and you'll just have to explore those 2 options to see which one gives you the material the fastest. Once you kill the elite of those dungeons, simply back out and rinse and repeat. For resource materials, this is what I have found to be the fastest. Before showing you the locations, the easiest way to reset the whole map's resource spot is to change the difficulty from normal to hard or hard to normal and travel to one of the outposts. To find resource boxes or vaults, you press tab and the little diamond shaped icon will appear where said resource spots are, and the sound when there is a vault within a certain radius in front of you. Okay, now starting on Echo Swamps, you travel to the outpost in Abandoned Zone. For Kingston, you go to Grand Square. Vespers, you go to Lost Supply Depot. Hagios, you go to Forward Base. For Fortress, you travel to the North Frozen Valley. Sterile Lands, you travel to the west side of Restricted Zone. For Agnet Desert, you travel to Mirage Stone and reset the first 3 boxes. For White Knight Gulch, you travel to the mountaintops. For vaults, if you're looking for Kuiper, you go to Agnet Desert Mirage Stone East Outpost and the storage. For vaults for materials, you use the same areas as the resource boxes. Now to farm the materials for catalysts, starting on the Murky Energy Residue, you do the dungeon called The Forgottens in normal mode and reset after the first elite has been killed. For the Macromolecule Biogel, it's as simple as choosing one of the 2 events, as they're both equally the same. For the Mixed Energy Residue, you get it at Agnet Desert Vaults. The best way is to reset maps traveling back and forth Mirage Stone East Outpost and the storage while doing vaults. For advanced neural circuits, the fastest way to get them is at White Knight Gulch at the mountaintops on the mission called Borderline of Truth. You can clear it in less than 2 minutes. It spawns 3 elites, each elite having a chance of dropping it. Each elite drops on average 5. For the blueprint, there's a lot of ways to get it. Although I will recommend one, please keep in mind everyone has their preference, and if you know a better one, leave it in the comment section below. I recommend doing Magister Lab in hard mode, as it is one of the fastest dungeons in the game to clear. With 240% kill score, you can clear it in around 3 to 4 minutes, and it will reward you with 2 patterns for the boss Executioner. Now for energy activators. My personal favorite farm for the blueprint is Magister Lab in normal mode. You can clear it in a minute and it gives you a pattern for a 3% chance. For low carbon activators, you choose the event in Kingston in hard mode. For conductive metallic foil, you go to Vespers, Lost Supply Depot and open vaults. For heat plasma battery, you go to the old mystery hard mode dungeon. Once you get to the area where you have to stand in the circles, you don't do the circle mechanic and instead kill the monsters for 5 minutes. During this 5 minutes, multiple elites will spawn and those drop a ton of batteries. For polyatomic ion particles, you go to Fortress Frozen Valley and do the mission Command Relay. In this mission, the faster you kill, the faster you reset. The drop chance no matter the place will be low, so don't be discouraged, but in this mission all you have to do is kill the first elite and reset the mission. So now I will talk about core mechanics for efficiency. The first mechanic I'd like to talk about is cancelling your reload with either a skill, a grapple or a roll. The best way for me is a grapple, as it has very little uptime and lets you shoot faster. But for example, when playing Sharon, you can cancel the reload with her second skill, which allows you to shoot the next bullet faster, and with the modifier coming from ambush. The next mechanic is movement with grapples. You can grapple to a place or ground, and as you're reaching that spot, before landing on the ground, you can cancel the grapple with a jump to keep momentum, mimicking what a lot of people know from other games as bunny hopping. Another mechanic is grappling weak parts so the boss Enrage meter doesn't increase while taking damage. The best way to do this mechanic is to grapple, hit the part until it's one hit of being broken, hold until the bar is almost gone and then punch it off. While you're grappled on a part, you can hit tab and the purple bar under the boss's HP bar will show his Enrage bar. It fills with damage received, and while grappled it doesn't fill up. Now I will talk about the best spots to farm XP, gold and Kuiper. Starting off, for XP currently the best is in Vespers. This is a 2-player spot, where one is starting the void fragments and the other is killing the monsters. For the one killing the monsters, you can start a mission next to the spot, so it skips the need to abort every time you clear the first stage. With this farm, you need a non-attribute character to reset the void fragment, and for killing the monsters, Viesa comes at first, and then Luna and Jaber come at second, and Bunny third. Although Luna and Jaber come in at second, because they're non-attribute, you can solo this XP farm and level up your weapons way more efficiently than any other mission. If you don't have a non-attribute descendant to level, the best spot is in the special operations in Sterile lands called Kuiper mining. Although it is much slower lower than Vespers, the benefit of this farm is that you get a lot of patterns, which you can then open on easy bosses to get catalysts or energy activators blueprints. Another good mention is Bunny Cave, but for me this is the slowest one and requires 2 bunnies to even be considered effective. And for the last spot you have Echo Swamps, the mission Environment Contamination Zone. This mission is also the best gold and Kuiper farm at the moment. Although the XP you gain here is small, you also farm a lot of modules, which will help you get modules only available by combining, such as Shot Focus. In this farm, you also get a lot of Codebreakers, and those same Codebreakers give you a ton of Kuiper. So in general, this spot is not the best at XP farming, but it will reward you with everything else you need in the game. If you only need gold and Kuiper, then this is the place for you. The only downside is that in this farm you need a bunny or a Luna to be efficient. Another mention is the Valby farm in Fortress. Although it gives you a lot of gold, the XP, Kuiper, modules and weapon drops are very low. Now for the builds. Starting off, every module has a category it is attached to. Because of this, you don't have to worry about if skill power modifier is better than raw skill power, as they're in separate categories, and they will not clash with each other in the build. Either way, I will explain which one affects the skill more. Please keep in mind, the high skill power modifier module comes with a 50% cooldown increase, and the same for the module for raw skill power. So do not insert these modules into your build if it affects cooldown. The great old question of skill power modifier versus raw skill power. The answer is simple. From 101% up, skill power wins on a 1-to-1 ratio. But if you compare maximized power and maximized skill, their ratio is skewed to 1 to 0.9. So skill power wins, in this case, from 110% upwards. Now that this question has been cleared, we'll move to the next section. For survivability, your HP will scale off the HP in your external components. So if you're squishy, either add more HP on the external components or in your modules. The same works for defense and shield. Usually 1 HP module will do the trick, but if you're dying, always aim for extra survivability and not damage. Now cooldown reduction. It is capped at 90%. You can get to this by using MP conversion, nimble fingers, 2 focus modules and multi-talented if you're using a dimension skill. Or you can swap multi-talented for a yellow cooldown reduction stat on your reactor if you're not using dimensional skill. Duration works the same way, although for the modules, you go for maximized duration, skill extension, battle of stamina, and the yellow stat on your reactor. Go for duration if the skill's base cooldown is lower than the base duration, as the modules are multiplicative. For crit, skill concentration and skill insight give you more stats than frontlines and emergency measures together. So always go for skill concentration and skill insight first. I've covered what you need to know to build a basic setup for your descendant. Apart from what I've just talked, you have many other modules that affect healing, skill cost, max MP, range, and others. Those are very specific modules that work with certain skills, and you'll have to play around with them. For the last thing I want to mention, when building your descendant, you can put a catalyst in the melee module to give you 5 extra module capacity. Now for the weapons. Almost all setups include the same modules. You go with rifling reinforcement, action and reaction, better concentration, a better insight, weak point expansion, and concentration priority. After these, you move to the purple variant and build your own weapon depending on the stats. Always look at the stats, as most modules are multiplicative and not additive. So the higher the stat, the more a module will reward you with. Okay, now I will talk about Colossus bosses. Starting off, I will only be making a guide for the hard bosses, as 90% of them are replicates of the easy ones. The only ones missing is Gravewalker and Stunning Beauty, which are both extremely easy to kill. Now for the bosses. The first one is Executioner. Executioner has a decent amount of HP and shield, and the 2 mechanics are his Enrage and the defense buff he gets. For the defense buff, you can equip the module Absolute Curse, grapple to a weak point and destroy it to dispel the buff. For the Enrage mechanic, it is very easy to deal with. The best way is to, as soon as he is shooting his laser gun, you dodge in between his legs and you'll have an opening to shoot his plasma amplifier to de-enrage him. The second boss is Dead Bride. Dead Bride can be intimidating for a lot of people, but she has mainly a big amount of shield and low amount of HP, so don't be discouraged if you see her shield going down slowly, as when it is gone, you will chunk her HP away very easily. Apart from her usual damage dealing mechanics with her bullets, the main mechanic you want to focus on is the Enrage. Once she is enraged, she goes into this long animation to spawn a big AoE of ice. While she is doing this, you can usually destroy one of the 2 amplifiers in the gun, or if you have enough damage, you can destroy both of them. If you manage to only destroy one, back away as you'll take a bit of damage from the AoE, but not too much damage to be of a big deal. The third boss is Devourer. This boss has low HP and low shield, as well as low defense. But although he is squishy, if you don't kill him before he enrages, he spawns totems around the map which regen his HP. And if you're too slow on destroying them, you get back to stage 1. This will be the first DPS check where a lot of people will get stuck on. To put it in simple terms, all you need is damage. Spend a few days building yourself a decent gun, then go back and redo him. The fourth boss is Pyromaniac. Pyromaniac follows the same rules as Executioner, but in exchange for him not getting a defense buff, he deals a lot more damage. Because of this, you'll have to equip yourself to survive sure hits. His main mechanic is his Enrage. To do this mechanic, the best way is to dodge in between his legs and shoot the amplifier in his back. You'll have a big opening to do so while he is shooting. Be careful of the orb that he shoots. It tracks you, and if you're within its radius, it will shoot you and deal a lot of damage. The fifth boss is Swamp Walker. Swamp Walker is a bullet sponge. Be careful of his missiles as they are almost hit scans, and bring survivability as well as a long-range weapon to destroy his amplifiers while enraged. Take advantage of his weak points as they're massive as well. The sixth boss is Obstructer. From here on out, all the bosses have to be done in a group, and they've got more demanding mechanics than all the previous ones. When fighting the Obstructer, be careful of the pools of poison he puts on the ground. They deal a lot of damage, and people usually dismiss them while tunnel visioning the boss and end up dying. He has two mechanics. One, he chooses a person and jails them inside a cube. For this, your teammates have to shoot you, or if you're the free one, look for the person that is jailed and shoot them to release them. If you fail to do so, they die. His second mechanic is his Enrage. When he enrages, he spawns two vortexes that send orbs for him to absorb. Although he does have an amplifier in the back like Executioner and Pyromaniac, in this case, I've never been able to destroy it. So I recommend not aiming for it and having patience with the orb mechanic. For the orbs, if he absorbs too many, he wipes the entire team. To fight this mechanic, you have to shoot the orbs so they don't reach him. A good descendant to do this is Bunny, as every tick of her AoE destroys as many orbs as she can reach with her AoE. The seventh boss is Frostwalker. Frostwalker is a tricky one. Once you do him and understand the mechanic, he gets a lot simpler though. He deals a lot of damage, has a lot of HP, moves a lot, has hit scans, basically a nightmare version of Swampwalker. Not only this, his Enrage is infuriating to deal with. You have to shoot the amplifiers on his legs while he is moving and rotating. Although he can be infuriating to deal with, the main mechanic that make a lot of people fail is his team wipe every 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This mechanic revolves around someone picking up flames from the ground, and at 6 flames you get an AoE around you that defrosts your teammates after Frostwalker does his mechanic. Your teammates can be inside the flame AoE while Frostwalker is doing his mechanic, and they won't be frozen too. Also, it is best to tell your teammates if you're doing the flames mechanic or not, so people don't simultaneously do it and you find yourself without enough flames to get the 6 stack. To get flames to drop, you have to destroy his weak points. He has one weak point on top of his head where if you destroy it twice, it drops enough flames for you to do the whole mechanic. Apart from that weak point, some flames will drop based on damage that you deal, and the other weak points each drop 1 flame. Also, if you have a debuff on you before capturing a flame, your first flame will be used to cleanse it instead of giving you a stack. The 8th boss is Molten Fortress. Molten Fortress is one of my favorite fights. His HP and shield pool are decently large, but his weak points are extremely big, while his turn radius and movement speed is low. Because of this, the best way to keep yourself safe is to be on his sides at all times and shoot his weak points. At the start, you will shoot 2 waves of missiles. They semi-track you, so don't be standing still as they deal a lot of damage. After that, you're free to do whatever you want. His only mechanic is his Enrage. Here, the community has indirectly agreed to aim the towers to the right. It is best to be scattered around the ring. Then, you shoot the glowing button on the towers to change its directions. If all towers are aiming at the same direction, he de-enrages and you're back to stage 1. But if you're too slow to turn the towers, as he is shooting the rocks on top of him, if the rocks hit the towers, it fills up a bar under the button, and once the bar is filled, the tower deactivates for a few seconds and then activates again, but with a random direction. The main issue here is, if you're slow on turning the towers, you get into this endless loop of fixing one tower while the other is being deactivated. To combat this, you can shoot the rocks coming from him so they don't hit the towers. It is best to do it if you're a Glay with the launcher, but if you're not, or if you don't have a Glay in the team, have everyone get the towers done as fast as possible, so you don't get stuck inside the loop. The 9th boss is Gluttony. This is the boss 99% of people won't be able to do or just give up on the first few attempts. Gluttony is extremely tanky, deals a ton of damage, enough to one-shot tanky builds, and has mechanics that evolve around having everyone carrying their own weight. In public lobbies, it is extremely hard to do set mechanics or find a team that deals enough damage to kill him. A quick disclaimer though, if he is aggro on you, hide behind structures. This fight isn't about dealing a lot of damage, but surviving his attacks. In this fight, it is very easy to deplete the respawns of your entire team by constantly getting one shot. Also, Ultimate Valby has a Transcendent module that helps a lot in this fight. His main mechanic are the towers he spawns that shoot bubbles. There are two types of bubbles, transparent ones and purple ones. The transparent ones are used for two things: to deplete the energy being built on his gun by shooting them at him, or linking the explosion of the purple ones. You usually have one person the whole match doing this, and if the gun is nearly fully filled, it is best to stop DPSing as it increases with damage received, and focus on the bubbles. If he is enraged, everyone should do bubble duty. From time to time, purple ones will spawn and they auto-track him, and once they are close to him, you shoot it to explode, and after he has suffered enough explosions, he de-enrages. If you fail to shoot the purple orb, he absorbs it and the energy goes directly to his gun. If the energy of the gun gets full, he wipes the entire team. And that is it for the guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your feedback. And once again, if you like this type of content, you can always leave a like or subscribe. I would love to hear from you guys what you're most excited about on this incoming update. And as for the next video, I will definitely be unlocking Haley on the first day to provide you with the build and gameplay. Alright, I'm out. See you next time.